All right, another episode of Mornings with Marla, and I'm so excited right now. I have Christine Hall, who we actually met in Portugal off of Girls Love Travel, which is this amazing like Facebook group, and have just been in contact ever since. And I was just like, want to be on my podcast? And she was like, yes. And I'm so excited to hear all about, traveling, digital nomad life. She's a creative entrepreneur with lots of different kind of realms going and happening, which is what we kind of just talked about, relating about, of having just multiple things to occupy ourselves, because one thing just becomes a little too boring or blatant. But yeah, Christine, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, and then we're going to dive into a topic of like the failure mindset, which I'm really excited about.
Yay, I'm so excited, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored. So my name's Christine. I am a nomadic creative entrepreneur and travel blogger. I help people create their dream lifestyles and bring more Sundays in their everyday. I've also been doing digital marketing for about 3 years on and off while traveling the world.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch just from when we met. What was it, like 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah. And just like the place you were then, and like what you were creating and shifting out of into this new like essence of yourself, I felt like, and just kind of watching you grow over social media. And she just released the Daily Sunday, which is awesome. And just been traveling in a way of you've been like pet sit traveling for a while. Kind of.
Yeah, so for a while I was just doing house sits, and I was just going where the next like cat or dog sit was. I would pick kind of a location I wanted to be in, and then I would see if there was any house sits, and it was a great way to travel on a budget without spending a lot in rent. So
yeah, just seeing her popping all over the world, I'm like, how are you doing this right now? This is amazing. But you were doing some like graphic design work on the side, correct?
yeah, I was doing branding and web design, and I was working with a marketing agency for a while, doing like email marketing, just anything on my computer that I can make money on. I kind of try and utilize
The remote life.
the remote life, right?
And so you kind of were in real estate before, and you lived in Boston, right?
Yeah, so I went to school for design and marketing, and then I graduated and landed a job in real estate, which was totally random, and I didn't like think that that's what I was going to do. But it was such a blessing because it allowed me the time and freedom to sort of design my life how I wanted it, which involved traveling and coming back home and doing a couple freelance contracts and mostly working in real estate. But it was just such a good way to sort of think about what I wanted, and it gave me time and space to do that. So I really appreciated working there.
Now you're in Tulum.
Now I'm in Mexico. I know, right?
And
Fast forward.
You've been there for about a month?
July 13th I got here. So what was that? Like a month and a half ago?
And you'll be there another month.
At least. We'll see.
Yes.
My life is planned like 1 month, 2 months max.
You get just like a day at a time.
Yeah. Just fall in the flow, you know?
So this morning we were kind of chatting about just like failure mindset and how it's really easy to, my example is like for when I teach yoga, if I enter a yoga room and like have my class and no one shows up. And this actually happened to me when I first opened my yoga studio. The first weekend it was open, I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to fit all the people that are going to show up into this room? I don't think I could fit 20 people. I think maybe like 16, because I was offering free classes for the weekend, and no one showed up. I put an article in the paper, I put flyers out, told all my friends, and I was like, okay, it's 5 minutes past when the class is supposed to start. I thought there'd be like 30 people here, like literally no one. And it's really easy to be like, oh shoot, like what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Like, am I in the right place? And just like instantly kind of giving up in that moment of just like, oh no, no one wants this. And it's just like checking yourself and kind of getting through that process of like, okay, this doesn't mean I'm failing. This just means like it's a learning situation and a way to grow and move forward. And, you know, eventually over time, because I stuck with it, it was like 3 people showed up, and then 5, and then 8, and then I got some privates. And like, because I stuck with it, it organically kind of grew. And I feel like it's really easy for people to have that happen to them and just give up because it's the easier route.
Mm.
And it's through these failures that I feel like are stepping stones to success, and kind of shifting the mindset around what failure means to you. And does it mean like just this moment of giving up, or does it mean like, okay, I'm going to work harder because this is my dream and I want it to become reality? Are
Mm-hmm.
there any moments that you feel like you were just like, okay, I'm done. This isn't working anymore. Like I'm doing, like, I can't do this. And how did you sort of overcome that within yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like it's really about faking it until you make it, like you just said, like it's never rejection, it's redirection. So
Mhm.
if you're in alignment with your values and your worth and you have a clear vision about what you want, it's only a matter of time until you find success, I feel. And yeah, I mean, at first I was completely like way out of my comfort zone. I had never really been internationally until I was what, like 20 years old. Like that was my first trip. So I just had such a drive and passion to travel and like make it happen no matter what. And so I took my first solo trip. It was super scary, but then everything just started coming together, and it felt so right that I was like, okay, I can't ignore this. Like, I never really felt satisfied with just like a traditional routine of like going to work in a 9 to 5. And I just knew there was something else, and I didn't know exactly what that looked like. But I think it was really just about like trusting myself and building trust in myself that I could
Mhm.
always figure something out. Um, and yeah, and just like having a bunch of different digital skill sets, like the world has been transitioning into a
Mhm.
purely digital environment. So like being like, okay, like I can offer graphic design or photography or marketing or content. So it just like, yeah, cultivating self-trust and confidence is, I feel like, at the root of overcoming fear.
Yeah, definitely. I think confidence is a huge one, and the fake it till you make it is such a thing. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
step into that confident person, know it's gonna work, like 100% trust that it's gonna work, especially if you're passionate about something. It's like, why settle in this one life we have to live? Why would you settle for something that you're not happy doing just because it's the easiest thing and the route that seems to be working? It's like a failure around money is such a big one, of just,
Mm-hmm.
like the fear of losing money, or like the fear of not gaining any more money, and like totally leaning into and trusting that. And I know you've had some really cool like serendipitous things happen. One that's popping in my head right now is like the apartment that you came across. I think you were in Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you wanted that one really beautiful apartment overlooking the ocean, and like you made a friend, and then like how did that all come about for you?
Where was this? This was not in Canada.
I think, hmm, let me think. There was
Gives me a lot
definitely a
of time.
story somewhere about it was like a $4,500 a month apartment, I think. And the lady was moving
Oh,
out and you moved in. Um,
yes. Okay, this was recent. This was in Canada. That
okay.
would be so cool though.
Well, we've
So
been
this
so
is
many
actually,
places.
I know. I honestly like. I'm like, wait, which one was that? Because so many of these things happen. This was this summer in Newport, Rhode Island, which is about 40
Gotcha.
minutes from my hometown.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was like during when quarantine was like really like in its prime, and I needed just like a space near the water. And so I just booked this Airbnb for a month. Like it seemed like a cool place, but it wasn't like everything on my list. I always write lists of things that I want, and try and get really clear about like what am I looking for, so I know like what to say yes and respond to. So I was staying there for about 3 weeks, and the upstairs neighbor, she was like 64 years old. She's in a huge life transition, and we became like BFFs in quarantine.
Mm.
And she had just bought in a mansion on the water and was moving out of her apartment, and there was like 3 weeks left on the lease, and that was just when I was like ending my contract. And she just told me to come up and like look at her apartment and have coffee, and it was so beautiful, and it was everything on my list.
Oh.
And yeah, so I got to stay there for free for 3 weeks, and that was like a $6,000 apartment in the high season, which is absolutely insane. Actually, I think she said 10,000, not even
Oh
6,000.
my
Like
god.
in the high season, it's like absolutely insane in Newport, Rhode Island. If anyone knows, it's a very like expensive, ritzy town. But I just was like so overjoyed and grateful to wake up to the sea every day and just feel so inspired. But Yeah,
You
that
literally
was
had
fun.
all of that written down on your list, and it was just like,
Yeah.
check, check. Like,
Yeah, and like that's the thing too is just like trusting because when I booked this original Airbnb, I was like, oh, this looks cute, but this isn't everything I want, but it just felt really right, like a full
mm.
body yes. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna trust it. Let's do it. It was great, but upstairs was where it was really
And you had to stay there for a couple weeks.
yeah, like 3 weeks, and then I had to leave. I was like a
No,
dog with a tail
I'm
between its
so
legs, like no, don't make me leave.
yeah, I know you did like a little I think one of your daily Sundays was about manifestation and just like kind of asking for something and then forgetting about it and not really attaching
Mm-hmm.
to it. And I think writing it down is such a beautiful way to do that because it's like getting it out of your head onto paper and it just puts it in
Yeah,
like the 2D. So it's like really like there for the universe to be like, oh, okay, she wants this, like let's provide that for her. And I just feel like
yeah,
you've been living in such like alignment with who you are as a person and like gotten really clear on what your values are and what your asks are. And I really truly
mm-hmm.
believe that when you're like living within what you feel the most aligned with is when the world or the universe is like literally going to put things on your path that are exactly what you want next without even really knowing about
Absolutely.
it. And it's the whole trust thing. I actually in Portugal, my whole like mantra was trust that the universe will bring you all the abundance you need, which is true because the universe is there. It's like it's divine in nature. It doesn't want bad for you. It wants good for you. And like as long as you can lean in and
Mm-hmm.
trust that, which is really hard to do, especially when
So
you
hard.
don't know where you're going to be moving or living next or like being next or where your income stream is next. And just really the trust thing is crazy and just like burning those boats that don't serve you anymore to make space for the new to come in. um,
Yeah. Like when I leave a place, there's always sort of this like bittersweet goodbye of like, wow, I just created so much beauty and community and like made so many memories and had so many beautiful experiences. But I just need to trust that something else is coming along and the
mm,
universe is going to bring me what I need when I need it and the people
mm,
that I need to meet. So it
yeah.
hasn't failed me yet.
And I feel like it's like connections, like us meeting,
Yeah,
randomly in the
exactly.
world that there's something about travel to me that is like, I compare them to like a music festival where you can kind of shed any part of you that is like old and no one knows
Yeah.
about it. It's like they don't know who you
Yeah.
are and it drops like the what's your job, like blah blah blah. It gets really deep in question and conversation and I feel like you can just make these lifelong friends randomly in the world that are just stuck with you because like it was the divine meant to meet kind of thing.
Yeah. You put that so beautifully. Like I've always sort of struggled to put words towards the divine connections that you meet and how meaningful they are while traveling. It really is just about shedding your ego and your identity and like just like showing up as you are where you are. And like no one knows or cares. Like
uh,
they'll say, where are you from? And like that's what you are to them
yeah,
until you have your own story that you want to
yeah,
share.
it's really it's such a beautiful thing to be able to travel, especially internationally, and like experience different cultures and
Mhm.
just immerse yourself in different food. I know you just did a little thing about trying a cricket.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was like, all right, here goes nothing. I'm like, this looks gross and I don't think I'm gonna like it, but like when in Mexico, right?
Yes.
So
100.
that was great.
Yeah, I feel like in Thailand, I guess I could have been a little more adventurous when I was there, but yeah, just travel has just like broadened my horizons and my view on life and the world. And I met actually one of my best friends. We ran into each other in the Chicago airport and then ran into each other in Bangkok, which is huge. Like Bangkok is
Whoa.
massive. There's a bazillion people there. We ran into each other 3 times before our like Facebook ad actually went through because we didn't have Wi-Fi. And I was just like, okay, we have to be friends because clearly the universe is like, here, you're gonna meet once, you're gonna meet twice, you're gonna meet 3 times. Like how many times is it gonna take you guys to realize like you're meant to be friends forever? And we always just
Wow.
like tell that story whenever we're together and go celebrate and stuff. But
That's so cool. I
yeah.
love it.
Do you have
That's
any
amazing.
like good, do you have any like friends that you've carried through from meeting that you just like were like, okay, yes, this was meant to happen?
Oh yeah, like I became friends with this girl in Budapest, and we hung out for like 3 weeks nonstop, and we got really close. And then after that, we went our separate ways. I went on, I think, to Bali, and she moved somewhere in the States in the West Coast, and we sort of lost touch. But
Mm.
I remember it was like last Christmas or the Christmas before. I'm just scrolling through Instagram, and I see that she's like at this hotel. It's about 40 minutes from my house in Rhode Island, which is like the middle of nowhere. Like she's staying at Foxwoods, which is this casino like kind of close to me that, anyway. So I was like, oh my God, like, are you in Connecticut? Like 40 minutes from me? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. And I'm like, okay, I know it's Christmas, like family stuff's over now. It was like 8:00. I was like, all right, she's like, come. I was like, all right, I'm there. So like in 40 minutes, like I ran into her again, and we just like caught up like it was yesterday. And it was just so divine and amazing. But yeah, stuff like that definitely happens. I actually just met up with a friend here in Mexico that I knew from Boston, and she came to Mexico, and it's so cool. The world is a small place,
It
really, and you
really
can
is.
always just like fly to see people and like
Yeah.
arrive,
It's fun too to like have connections all over the world, because it's like I mean, I was in Guatemala a couple of years ago, and then maybe, where was I? I was somewhere. I don't know if it was Guatemala. It was after Guatemala. It was after Portugal, actually. So many
Oh,
places.
really?
But my friend was in Amsterdam, and I had no plans to go there at all. And she was just like, come
Oh,
stay
yeah.
with me for a couple days. And I was like, all right, let's extend my trip. I'll come. Like, and it was just so cool to be like, all right, cool. I can hop on a plane and come stay with you. And it's just
Yeah.
nice. And then you house people yourselves. And it's just like always this connection to be able to travel where random places you might want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great.
It's just, I love to travel. It's the
I
best.
know. It's hard to stop. Like when quarantine hit, I was like, okay, my whole lifestyle is just completely on pause. So where am I gonna go for 3-4 months? It's like a whole lifestyle transition, but
How do you manage, like, obviously when you travel so much, you can't own a lot of things. So
mhm.
do you like, how do you disattach from material items in that way? Like, how do you pick and choose what you want, or do you buy new clothes and get rid of some? And I know you have like a
Yeah.
space kind of that you can keep like.
I'm very grateful to have a very loving father. If he watches this, he's going to be laughing right now because he always is giving me a hard time about like my boxes and my like the things that I can't let go of. I'm a Cancer, and I love all things cozy. So I have my crystals, my plants, still, my pillows, but it gets smaller and smaller every time I come back from a trip, because I realize like, oh, I was just living out of like a 50-liter backpack for 3 months, and I was living my best life. So why do I need all of these things that I'm probably not going to touch for a year or two? And you can just replace things. So I try and hold on to only the things that bring me the most joy, or have like the most, or spark a memory from somewhere. But yeah, a lot of it is photography, which is lovely because you can just sort of store it on your iPhone or your computer until your hard drive gets full, like mine is doing right now. But
It's like,
but
where does it
yeah,
go? iCloud, on my phone, on my computer? Where is the iCloud even? Like, why am
yeah,
I paying for more storage when I don't even know like really where it is? It's fun.
yeah,
It's all memories, and it's really cool to be in like such a digital age where it's not like handheld pictures anymore, or like even those
yeah,
little slide things. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're like the little
yeah.
squares that you like have to put in a little projector, and people had
Oh
little
my God,
boxes full of all their travels and
those were
stuff.
the days.
Yeah,
Those
for
were the
sure.
days. Yeah, it's crazy that, I mean, I grew up there was no videos, like no videos of me, my childhood. So it was all really just like film photography and like what you could remember. But I think now it's so beautiful that you can literally capture anything with like any device so easily. And it's just, I don't know, it's a beautiful way to commiserate a trip and remember. So
Yeah.
that's what I try and do. I try and keep all of my belongings digital, but
Uh-huh.
I love my objects.
Then you just need an external hard drive on top of your hard drive.
Exactly, exactly.
So bringing it back to failure a little bit, I know you had in
Mhm.
Tulum, your house got broken into.
Yeah, that was scary. I mean, that was the first time I had ever really had my space like violated.
Mhm.
So we came home and we realized the gate was open and someone had literally like cut the lock off of the gate. Had
Wow.
to be with like steel cutters or something because it was like a metal concrete gate and they got through two doors.
Wow.
And I walked in and like, yeah, everything was just all over the place. And so the first thing I think is like, oh shit, my laptop is sitting on my bed. Like my computer's gone, my camera's gone, my computer was there. Like
Oh my
all of
god.
my belongings were there. They were just like rummaged through. So they were just looking for money. And luckily we only had like $50 in cash there
Oh,
and that's all they took. So it was like, it was a blessing. It was also kind of a wake up call of like, wow, people are really struggling right now. And it was
mm,
right when Corona first, well, not first happened, but it was a couple months ago. So the economy in Tulum was a lot less active than it is now. Like
yeah.
there's so many more people now. But I just think like, yeah, it was really just a point of reflection to sort of be grateful for what I had and
Mm,
knowing that it could have been way worse, that as soon as possible and found a new apartment. And I'm definitely more like conscientious now. Like sometimes I can be a little like trusting and
yeah.
not careless, but like, oh, like I'm fine, I'm protected, which I know I always am. But it's
Mhm.
like when your house gets broken into and like you realize like, wow, like all your stuff could be gone, you take a new level of precaution with you. So
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
amazing you have that mindset around it. Like, okay, like I'm safe, my computer's safe, like this is the best
Yeah.
case scenario, kind of. But did you have a moment there where you're just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be here? Or like, did you
Yeah.
ever like want to turn around and like leave right away?
Yeah, for the first 2 weeks I was here was actually really hard. Like that happened and a couple other things happened and I was just like not feeling super confident in my decision to be here. I was like, what? Like, why am I even here? What am I doing? Like, why aren't I home? Like,
Mm,
and I just sort of talked to my friends about it and people that, I trust and confide in. And something was just telling me to like wait it out a little bit longer.
mm,
And I hadn't really found like a community yet or like people here that I could, talk to and like do things with.
mm,
So right after that, and this is kind of always how it works. I feel like you have to hit some sort of rock bottom or setback in order to experience
mm.
comfort and routine and all the good stuff. I
Yeah.
always say everything that you want lies on the other side of fear. So anyways, after that experience, I met like 50 amazing women and we have this Girl Gang Tulum group and we have like weekly meetings and like now I can't walk anywhere without finding a friend in town. So
Oh.
just having like people you can like, yeah, talk to and trust around you really makes such a difference when you're traveling by yourself in a foreign country.
Yeah, it's interesting because people always bring up like, oh, solo travel, like you're by yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're really never by yourself, like you are sometimes,
Seriously.
but when you're at a hostel, if you stay at hostels or whatever, it's like there's a ton of people there who are also doing the same thing that you just like start connecting with and start like grouping off with. And there's also like social media to connect. Like you said, you found like the Tulum girls page or something like that and like met
Yeah.
all these women and it's just I feel like the first day or two is when my anxiety sets in the most where I'm just like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know where I am, I don't know my way around, and I'm like
Yep.
extremely directionally challenged, so like for me it's like I'll do like a 3 block radius travel and then the next day I'll get like 4 blocks and like slowly expand my like directional sense of where I am. But it's just like you said, it's facing those fears. Like you could literally sit in your hostel room all day and hide and just like sit in that anxiety,
Mm.
or you can choose to like face off with it and face off with that fear and like go out and explore and talk to people, and that's where like the magic happens.
Yeah, and it all comes from desire. Like if you have the desire to do something and literally the alternative is just to be alone and sad, like you're going to find a way, you're going to figure it out. And oftentimes it's just like having a conversation with one person will lead to,
Mhm.
interacting with their friends and then you meet these people who know this person and
Yeah.
then your friend from, the States comes and visits you and before you know it, you have to actually be like, "Oh, wait a second, like I have work to do. I need to start saying no to all of these
Yeah.
amazing beautiful experiences and just sort of like ground and like, all right, like no more fun time."
Aw. Yeah, I mean, it's all a balance, it's
All
like
balance,
all
yeah.
balance. Is there something that you do, or like a practice or ritual you have that helps in those moments where you feel like stuck, stagnant, afraid, or just like the anxiety kind of kicks in of just being solo traveling?
Yeah, definitely. I think like having a daily practice is really important. So I have my morning ritual. I always meditate 20 minutes a day and I try
Mm,
and journal daily just about how I'm feeling and check in. And it's all just about how you talk to yourself. So really just cultivating like a kind
mm,
voice. Like you make you feel comfortable when you're not in your comfort zone. It's really just what has kept me grounded.
mm. And sorry, you cut
Yeah,
out a tiny
just
bit.
trying to stay active and taking care of myself.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on
you're
hotel
totally fine. I
Wi-Fi.
caught the end of it, but it's just you say like just kind of like staying up with your practice and ritual and then like self-talk basically.
So yeah, so just a really steady routine, like no matter where you are in the world, trying to carry that with you is sometimes challenging, very, very challenging, but just like giving yourself permission to just hop right back where you left off,
Mm,
and continuing the practices that you did and happy. And yeah, it's yeah, self-reliance.
yeah. It's hard too. I think like it's such a challenge to get out of that negative mind loop. Um
Hmm.
and and it's like the snowball effect. I feel like when you're talking negatively to yourself, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until you finally convince yourself like out of doing something that you actually desire, which is where I feel like you're like coming up to the fear place and then you're like back up, like reverse. And I feel like that's where you can't lean into
Yeah,
having so much change happen and like unfold for you. And like that's like it is when you step
right.
over that fear space is where I think the beauty cultivates. So it's like I know
Hmm.
Blue has a podcast called Deja Blue, and she always says like feel the fear, lean in, level up. And it's just stuck with me so much. It's like if
Yeah,
you can take that space of fear and really sit with it and feel that emotion and have like complete compassion for yourself in that space, it
yeah.
allows it to kind of move through you, and then you're able to take the next steps and level up in your life. And for you, it's like you have how many streams of things going on right now?
Yeah, I have probably like three or four different endeavors that I'm trying to manage consecutively right now. But yeah, no, that's such a good point. And I think like just hacking your brain to get what you want, because the mind is like a sponge. So what you tell it, it will respond to. And just
Mm,
like stop giving yourself all the negative self-talk and
mm,
program beliefs that support your vision and what you want to do. And moving forward with a positive mindset is really at the foundation of everything.
mm,
Like this is something I wouldn't have done 3 or 4 years ago. And I think I just got to a place where I was like tired of letting myself down and like tired of being small. Like I always knew that there was something greater that I was supposed to do in some way. And
mm.
I was just so afraid of my own
Yeah,
success and
yeah.
being and showing up and more being small. Like I'm gonna do it even if it's not perfect.
Mm.
It's and I think it's just taking it to action until you figure it out. That's where everyone starts.
Yeah, that's been coming up a lot for me too, is like people are just like, "Oh my God, you started a podcast. I've wanted to start one for like years now and you just did it." And I was like, "Well, yeah, because that's
Yeah.
what you gotta do. You just gotta go do
I
it."
know, right? Same with my blog. Like it took me 2 years to finally decide on a name. And a lot of that I think was just like fear of, getting my voice out there and like making all these articles and like what am I going to write about, like who's going to care, is anyone going to show up, and like it's not really about that anyway. It's just more about following the pings to
Yeah.
do what's in alignment with your soul. So I'm like, you know what, writing and speaking, my experience is helpful to at least 5 people I know, so maybe it will be helpful to more people.
Yeah, and
You just gotta start even when you're not ready.
exactly. And it's like to me too, I feel like with just like Instagram, kind of creating this new like Instagram influencers or whatever. And it became about building your
Mhm.
Instagram, getting enough likes, like having enough comments. Like it was almost like the more people that you had engagement with, the better you were doing technically. And now it's just my mindset has shifted around that so much of like the people who see it, because it used to be such an ego boost to me. Honestly, I had to take a break from social media for a little bit where I was like, okay, if I'm not getting 50 likes on this picture, I feel bad about myself. Or like I could delete the post, or like, or like I need to shift some things or whatever. But now, like through working with my coach, he's just like, it doesn't matter how many people like your post. It matters who is going to get the most benefit from that. So now I'm just like, okay, I got 5 likes, cool. Those 5 people really benefited from it. It's not like I need to reach 150 people per post. It's like the people who need it the most are going to
Yeah.
see it. And it's just like trusting in that, and not attaching to, I guess, like how much engagement.
How many
And that's really
likes?
shifted a lot. Yeah. So like with your daily Sunday, it's like, if you reach 5, like you said, if I reach 5 people or like 500 people, it's like, this is what's true to me. And that's what I'm speaking about.
Yeah. And I just want to talk about Instagram really quick. Like, I feel like it's so easy to get into comparison mindset on Instagram, to just be
Mhm.
like, oh, like, look at this person's perfect lifestyle. Like, they must be so happy. They must be so, they must have it all figured out. Right. And like, that's what I thought too. And then I met so many of these people that have hundreds and thousands of followers, and they're like depressed and confused and relying on the next like to feel a sense of self-worth. And it's just
Mhm.
such a toxic mindset to get into, is like
Yeah.
constantly relying on external validation. So, and also the algorithm has changed so much. It's like when I started Instagram like 6 or 7 years ago, I would post like really random shitty photos of like my cat, and I would get sometimes more likes than I do now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, was that really giving value to anyone? I mean, maybe like a cute cat, but like now I'm trying to post very meaningful things that are going to help people. And it's frustrating because, the platform isn't what it used to be. But
Mm.
yeah, even just helping like a few people is worthwhile.
Yeah.
And that's why I started a website too, just to sort of get off
Mhm.
Instagram more.
Yeah, social media it can be used as such a powerful tool, but it also can hold so much like toxicity and influence and impact in your
Mhm.
own head. And you can really like judge yourself based off what other people are doing, which brings me to imposter syndrome, which I kind of want to touch on, is like when you're constantly, actually was just talking to one of my girlfriends this morning about this, but when you're constantly touching on like seeing what other people are doing, seeing how their success is, and then trying to act in that way, and like forgetting about who you are as a person. Because I mean, everyone has their own unique qualities and their own unique offering, and the more you can tailor that to who exactly you are, I think the more success you find. And then you become, it can easily be like, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, I'm not learning enough, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
providing enough for people. And how do you, or
Mm.
how did you lean into trust of just like trusting your true authentic self and what you have to say, and that has value without feeling like impostering someone? And I know we said fake it till you make it, which is also true, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of work around myself for the last 10 years really. Like it didn't happen overnight. I had so many limiting beliefs, just programmed from when I was a little kid up until my adulthood. And a lot of it was, things I learned, and then I continued to tell myself like, I'm this way, I'm that way, these beliefs that didn't serve me in any positive way, and just thinking I was a total like misfit weirdo for the longest time. And then realizing that that's actually my gift, that's my superpower, is my quirkiness, my weirdness. And just really like learning to love that part of myself. Like, it sounds cheesy, we always hear like, oh, self-love, but it's really just about like loving yourself first, and just showing up as you are, and not being afraid of judgment, or not doing it the same way that everyone else is doing, and just listening to what's true for you and trying to deliver value based on personal experience and your struggles. And I really do think it is a process. I do a lot of different healing modalities, and one thing that's really helped me is hypnotherapy around, rewiring limiting beliefs and reprogramming the mind to more beneficial stories and narratives that you tell yourself.
Mm. Yeah, it's crazy. It is like the mind is a program, and the more you fall into that negative mind loop, like the more that's going to be programmed right into your brain, and the more you positive self-talk yourself is like the more you can rewire your brain to be in this positive space and stuff like that. So I think it's just like the power of the mind is absolutely insane to me, and I think that the most successful people, yes, of course, they get failures, and I'm sure they go through bouts of doubt, but I think what they're the strategic thing that they have that is greater than most others is the self-belief in like
Mm-hmm.
100% confident belief in the self that this is going to happen for them. And I think like when you can 100% believe in something and be patient for it to come, which is another thing, is like, okay, yeah, you're going to fail a bazillion times, and through that you have to have patience for the success to happen. And
Yeah.
I mean, like there are, the possibilities are infinite and endless. And you look at, you know, money is one thing that's like there's scarcity mindset around it. And if you really think about it, money isn't scarce. There's an abundance of money everywhere. There's money to be made for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's possible for everyone. And to go in that money scarcity mindset is, it's just a false reality, I think, of just like, oh, there's not
Yeah,
enough, there's not enough, there's not
absolutely.
enough.
Absolutely. And I think one really like big thing that I realized as to why I used to be so unhappy is that really energy flows where your attention goes. So things only exist if you give life to it through your attention. So like what isn't serving you that you're focusing on? And for me, that used to be what I didn't have, and
Mhm.
negativity, or like something would go wrong and I would let it completely derail me. And I would, you know, and you just start telling yourself, oh, like this happened for me. Like I got stuck
Uh-huh.
in traffic and then I was like to work, and like you get stuck in these stories. And really it's just about having the discernment to be like, do I want to go there today? Or
Mhm.
do I want to have self-preservation and like and have a good day? So it's just like being aware of what's going on, and choosing how you want to feel, because we really do all have choices around how we want to feel.
Mhm.
And I think with money, it's the same thing. It's like the more you focus on what you don't have, the more of that you're going to create. So
Mhm.
start being grateful and putting energy into the things that you do have, because most of us have more than like 90% of the world. So just feeling a gratitude for the little things in front of us,
Mhm.
you know, it's that's the first step. And yeah, and just knowing why you want to have money, like what's the purpose behind the money, what is it going to do for you?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, a big
yeah,
thing.
just getting intentional, I think for me has been a big game changer.
Yeah, definitely. 100% being intentional about it, having gratitude for what you have. One thing that shifted for me was like writing a money or a letter to money. And I was like, I'm literally
Me too.
bad talking money all the time. Like, you're the cause of all my stress. You're the cause of
Yeah.
all my problems. Why don't you want to come into me? Why don't you want to be near me? And it's like, why would it want to be near me when I'm literally telling it that it's the
Yes.
source of all of my problems? Like, of course it's avoiding me.
That's an exercise. And you are a badass by making you are a badass at making money
Uh,
by Jen Cicierno, I think it is.
oh,
I wrote the same money letter.
and
Same
I
book,
was
by the
like,
way.
wait a second, this seems a little off. Money didn't do this to me.
Right. Like, is it money, or is it how you grew up and your beliefs that you were
Yeah.
given?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously it is a stressor in life, and like you have to pay bills, and you know, it makes the world go round,
Yeah.
but this victim mindset that people tend to fall into, I think is really a trap of just like, oh, poor me, I've been through so much
Yeah.
trauma, I don't have enough money, I can't afford, like, and you just get in like, and no one wants to be around a victim. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move forward. And that's just a choice that is all on you to make for yourself. It's like you can sit and wallow in self-pity for the rest of your life, or you can get up and move forward, brush yourself off, and learn lessons from all
Yeah.
the things you've been through.
Yeah. Sorry, you're cutting out.
Uh,
Oh, there you are.
there we go. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
internet
was just gonna say,
connection.
like, I think I know, right? I don't know if I need to turn my video off, but
Yeah.
it says
Maybe that
I
one.
think I
There
should
we
be
go.
fine. Okay. So I was say, I think 2020 has brought people, you know, into the awareness that they are powerful creators. Like, we can't rely on anything else
Mm.
for a sense of security. And I
Yeah.
think that's sort of one gift that's kind of come out of everything. And I think we're having a huge paradigm shift of people realizing their own innate power as human beings and
Mm.
taking back their ability to create their lives, because we really are co-creating consistently with the universe. Like, every single day we are creating our realities, literally. And just knowing that alone takes you right out of the victim mindset, because to be a victim is to literally have no power.
Mhm. Mhm.
And as a human being, we are born with so much power and worthiness, and we just sort of lose it and give it away as we grow up and go through trauma and hardship. But you know what? Like, every single person has the same abilities to create. And yeah, I think just that's just something to really lean into.
Remember. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's a powerful thing that like not only self-belief, but like the trust in that you'll be provided what you need and what you're asking for. And it's a really beautiful mindset. And I do think that 2020 has been just unveiling so many things, and what's come up through that is like everyone's like, oh, 2020 is shit. Like, it's all falling apart. It's blah, blah, blah. But this is what we've been praying for, is we've been praying for things to be like unveiled and seen, and they're all getting seen right now, and things are, and that's what it takes for
Mm,
shifts. And like I I think you could totally
yeah,
relate that to like trauma you're going through, or like that you've experienced, is like, yeah, it seems like the end all, it seems like complete shit, it seems like everything's falling apart, but that's where you rebuild from, and that's where you like learn the most and like hone more deeply into your values and your purpose.
yeah. And I think for some people, it really took a routine shift for them to look at their lives and being like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Because every single day we're so distracted on our phones that we forget to be intentional with our time and like take inventory of the
Mm.
lifestyle that we're living. And I think when COVID happened, most people were sort of forced to stop, you know, going to work every day and had more time at home, and to really be like, okay, like, is this what I want to be doing? Because they sort of realized the fragility of the current, you know, economic situation. So yeah, so
Mm.
I think that's one positive thing that has come from this, and I would argue it was probably necessary for good
Oh,
change in the
I
world. So
degree. Yeah, I think like it's like the quarantine has been such a catalyst in so many different things for so many different people, and I understand it's really hard for some, and the money thing is huge, and you
yeah.
know, I think a lot of people have been moving to more rural areas and out of bigger cities, and really honing in on like what
Mm,
family means to them, and what career means to them. And yeah, I've talked to so many people who have just been like, you know what, I discovered myself again, and I needed this time to like really self-care, because we're in this rat race constantly. It's like, what do you get up, you have breakfast, you go to work, you take a lunch, you come home, you watch TV, you go to bed, and you repeat, and then you begin living for the weekends,
right.
and you just go through the motions, and your life just flashes before your eyes. All of a sudden you're just like, oh, okay, it's over, what did I do? Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah. And it's all part of a bigger agenda that we just sort of grow up with and fall into. And it really just takes time to reflect and be like, wait a second, like, this is a choice, whether or not we asked for this initially. Like, we're participating in this, but do we have to? I don't know.
mm,
You know, when I grew up, I was always just saying, like, who made these rules and do I have to follow them?
uh-huh.
Like, that was like my biggest. I was always asking why, but why? Like, do I have to do this? Like, who decided that this was how I was supposed to live my life?
Mm. I think it's a lot of like the masculine too, that is shifting into a more feminine space now, of just like
Yeah,
the schedule, the moving up the corporate ladder, which I mean, for some, they're very happy doing that. You know what I mean? But for
yeah,
me, it's just like the most soul sucking, unpurposeful feeling that I've ever had in my life, is being in a corporate 9 to 5 position. And
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I just, it's not how my being works. And I feel like a lot of people are like that, and it's just hard for them to admit it. And it's scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, Pete. Absolutely. And I think just like the value of resting, like people don't
Mhm.
realize how much more you can get done when you're well rested and like taken care of. Like I know I can be so much more productive in my business when I've had a good night's sleep and I'm hydrated and I'm
Mhm.
exercising and I'm meditating and like taking care of your mind and body. That's something that's really challenging to do with a 9 to 5 and a family and
Mhm.
commuting. It's like there's no time. So you
Yeah.
really just gotta create the time and then go from there.
Yeah, the biggest
Yeah.
game changer that I've integrated is having a 20, 30-minute morning practice. And like I do have 2 dogs and a cat to take care of. So like first things first is take them out to go to the bathroom. And instead of it being like I found myself being like, oh, I don't want to freaking do this. Like, oh, I don't know, like just being upset about it. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go breathe some fresh air right away in the morning. I get to put my feet in the grass and like look at the sunrise or feel the sun on my face. And that 20 minutes extra that I have to wake up to incorporate my 20-minute practice in the morning is like, I wouldn't change that for 20 extra minutes of sleep, because the days I do my 20-minute practice and the days I don't, I have, it's a huge shift, like complete shift in my mindset
Yeah.
and my mood.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just changing the sentence from like, oh, I have to do this to I get to do this is so
Mhm.
much more empowering,
Mm.
you know? But
Yeah,
like that's awesome. Just taking those 20 minutes to really, yeah, get ready for the day. It's
yeah.
great.
And starting with water is really a good one too.
Uh,
Instead of just,
that's something I've been kind of slipping on lately. I've been like going right into coffee. I'm like,
uh-huh.
no, like you gotta have your lemon water beforehand.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, when you're sleeping, you're not drinking water, and then the first thing you put in your body is dehydrating. And I feel like a lot of people, like, that's like, I feel like it's a lot of, it stems from a lot of things. Like, if you're not drinking enough water, there's health issues, you're tired, you're groggy.
Oh my
Like,
God.
it's just, water is amazing.
I don't like water. I don't like the taste of water.
Yeah, some people don't
I'm
like
so
water, and I feel like what's shifted for me that's helped a lot is getting a hydro flask, so it's like really cold. So it's like
yeah,
refreshing every time I drink it. That's helpful.
solid point. I've had this water bottle for 2.5 months in Tulum. I'm really proud of it. I'm like trying to reduce waste, but it's just a plastic bottle, so the water gets hot in like 10
Yeah,
minutes. So
yeah. No, this is I have like a ginormous hydro
holy crap.
flask. It's like
Could
a
take
half.
someone out with that thing.
Yeah, it's hard to carry around, but I never run out of water now. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I get water anxiety when I don't have water around.
Valid.
Yes, I just trained myself to just like be consuming water all the time, which I feel like has changed so much in my life. I have to pee a lot more, but
Yeah. Yep. That's when inconvenience, but I think the benefits sort of outweigh
yes,
the
definitely.
annoyance of peeing a lot.
Amazing. Oh, well,
uh,
I'm trying to think if there's any more questions I have for you. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Just like side note, I know like you're doing the Daily Sunday and your graphic design and you're working on an Etsy shop and like you have all these little things going, and I'm so excited to see where it all brings you. But you could totally,
Thank you so much.
yeah, do some
Yeah, just yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be selling my travel photography soon on my blog and on my
shopping.
Etsy. Well, it's going to be on my blog, but on Etsy primarily. So that's going to be super fun. But yeah, I'm just writing every Sunday and trying to deliver a long blog article every week, which is harder than you would think, to constantly be like, okay, what am I going to say today? What am I going to
Stop
do? But
it.
yeah, my greatest challenge has been like balancing everything, because I have an e-commerce business. I'm starting the Etsy. I'm doing a couple freelancing
Mm.
design gigs. I'm writing a blog. I'm posting my Instagram. Finally, all right, Christine, you need to hire someone. So I'm hiring some VAs now. If anyone wants to work for me, so
That's when you know you're doing good, is when you're like, all
yeah.
right,
But
I need a personal assistant.
oh, definitely. I have so many interests. I'm like, there's no way one human these things at 100%. So
Yeah, that's the hard part. Is really is making sure you can give 100% to each little thing that you choose to do, and like not giving up on them right away. Because it's so easy to be like, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do, and that's
yeah,
what I tend to do. Is I just like, I started making earrings and then stopped making earrings, and then like
no,
with my coaching and stuff, I'm just like, okay, this is not something I'm going to give up because I love doing it so much. And I know it'll just like start to flourish and grow. And I know that's going to happen, whether it's a year or 2 years or a month, you know, it's just like, you got to lean in and trust it all.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a jewelry store for about 3 years and then I started traveling and I had to let it all go. But it's just transitioning
Yeah.
and like letting someone else do the things that you like don't love doing anymore and giving
Mhm.
yourself permission to pivot. I think
Yeah, it's just like
been the
snakes
greatest
shed their
lesson.
skin. It's like you have to shed your
Yeah.
skin every once in a while, peel back some layers and do what makes
Yeah.
you happy. I think that's the most important thing. Is like if something's not making you happy or not lighting you up, then why waste the time? Life is so short and so precious. And one of my biggest fears and like a motto I live by is like tomorrow's never promised. And so do what you
Right.
want to do today because it's just not 100% going to be promised. And that's, I live like way up in the ethers and my partner's a
So
little
do
bit more
I.
grounded and he's just like, yeah, but you have to plan for the future. And I'm just like, but the future isn't promised. So we're not going to have to go that
Right.
far.
I love that. But I think so many people are like, they're very aware of what they don't want and what does not make them happy. But if you look at someone, you say, what makes you happy? Like, what do you want? Like
Mhm.
myself included, I'm always like, that's a great question. Let me
Mhm.
think about that. Let me get back to you. And it's not until we really check in and say, what lights my soul on fire? What do I
Mhm.
want out of this life? How do I want to feel?
Mhm.
Maybe it's not a tangible thing, but it's like, how do I want to feel on a daily basis and what problems do I want to have? And
Mhm.
once you have those answers, you can start to get really intentional about your tomorrows and how you want to create your future. But you
Yeah.
have to be able to see yourself there first in that place
Mhm.
to even be able to dream it up, you
Yeah,
know?
100%. And you keep bringing up like your why, which I think is such an important thing to get really clear on. And I know that's used a lot in like sales tactics and, you know, multi-level marketing schemes. They're always like, what's your why? What's your why? You know? And I just think it's applicable to everything, especially entrepreneurship, is like, why am I doing this? I want to help heal humans. I want to impact more humans. I want to spread my medicine to them. Like it's what is your if
Yeah,
your why is not like my why is not like a selfish why. And I don't feel like I mean, obviously, like I want a successful career, I want a successful life, I want to be able to buy a house and have a hobby farm, like those kind of things for myself. But like my main why is to like help others feel good and like work through these
absolutely.
processes that I feel like we've kind of been tackling. And just holding on to that and reminding yourself of it constantly is such a powerful thing too, because when you're feeling down
Yeah.
or like you're failing or like you're not succeeding or you want to give up, it's like come back to the why. Like, why are you doing this?
Mm. And you can't give from an empty cup either, and like
Yeah.
that's a very important thing. Like you can't even think about impacting others in a powerful way if you're not happy and satisfied with what you're doing and taking care
Mhm.
of yourself. And I think so many of us are so wired to be givers and overgive, which is a beautiful thing, but if you're not like living in alignment with who you are and giving to yourself first and
Mhm.
giving the love inward before pouring it outward, like you're not going to have anything to give and you're going to be burnt out. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
that's
when
one
you
thing.
start burning the candle at both ends. And that's where like the rest
Yeah,
factor comes in. And for me, it's really hard to like take a day and just rest, especially if I'm like binging a
same.
TV show or something. I'm like, I should be doing something. I should at least be eating. Like I need to be moving. Like this is not okay. I
Yeah,
can't let my body just sit here for a whole day. And that in itself is really not resting either. So you're just like guilt tripping yourself the whole time you're actually trying to do something good for yourself. So it's like to have
I
those
feel
days
you.
perfectly okay, you know?
It's hard. It's definitely a challenge, and I'm not an expert. It's always just like keeping that in the forefront of your mind and like being like, okay, breathe,
Uh-huh.
focus on your breath, be present. What do you see right now?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
You can
yeah,
always come back to your breath. It's always such a powerful thing to remember. It's just like
your
always come back
breath.
to your breath if you're feeling like any sort of way, or allow your body to move,
Mm-hmm.
or allow your body to make sounds like just like ah, you know, it's like just let
Yeah.
it out.
And one thing lately that I just like had this recent realization around is like as females we're told not to be angry and
Mhm.
how toxic it is to express anger, and
Mhm.
just allowing yourself to be angry healthy, which might look like throwing a tantrum on the couch with
Uh-huh.
pillows and like punching a wall like a softball or something. Like it's so therapeutic.
Uh-huh.
It's so therapeutic, you know, just like move. move it through body, because we could be stuck within us, and then we're just like constantly like, oh, like, you know, like
Yeah, no,
a
definitely.
bomb.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just a catalyst, and you can use that potency and that fire from anger and just like catalyze into something greater. You know, it's just like an emotion to move through to ignite more fire within you and all
To
of us.
transform it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, it
Well,
was
thanks, Marla. This has been so great.
yay!
I'm so glad we're talking.
Yeah, from Boulder, Colorado to Tulum, Mexico. Good things.
From Portugal. Lives in
Yes,
Portugal.
yeah. The 4 points around the world.
So great. I
Awesome.
miss Europe.
I know, pastries. All I was thinking about all morning was pastries and coffee, and we had that. I think we got like chocolate croissants and then chocolate coffee. Like the last day we were at that one little town. That was so cute, and I was just like, that is the best thing I've ever had in my freaking life.
So good. The pastéis de natas, the Portuguese, like little custard. Oh my God.
They were like still a little warm when you get them. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Petite joys.
Just like, and it just was such a lax lifestyle. I remember going to dinner and being like, wow, we've been here for like 4 or 5 hours. It seems like 30 minutes.
Yeah, there's no rush. Take your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Time. Have another espresso, have another cigarette.
Sangria.
Like, just stay.
Sangria for lunch, that's totally normal here.
Right. Yeah, 5 hours, no big deal.
Yeah, it was so good. But how can we find you? What's your Instagram? And the Daily Sunday is just like thedailysunday.com.
thedailysunday.com. My Instagram is ce.hall, Hall. That's my name. And if you want to check out my photography, you can go to christinehall.co, and I have my photography. But soon it's going to be under the Daily Sunday. So that's where you can find me.
Daily Sunday.
Yeah.
And then
the Daily Sunday.
Then my Instagram, if you don't know already, is at _Marmo. I'm a confidence coach. I do yoga privates, started the podcast, doing a little bit of everything as well. And hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please share on your social media. That would be so helpful. And I love you and so grateful for you, Christine, and for everyone listening and supporting. I feel so blessed to be here. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting and sharing your
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Aw, well, everyone have a beautiful Sunday.
Bye.